Another match brings another opportunity for Liverpool to put an end to this current slump and get this season back right on track. After losing 9 of the last 12 in all competitions, Arne Slot and his players are in search of victory in the capital this afternoon. It is a return to Premier League action, and it's West Ham who stand in the way of what would of course be a very much needed 3 points this afternoon. A slightly unusual kick-off time of 2:05 at the London Stadium today. We will bring you live audio commentary of all the action. Yeah, welcome along. Sammy Lee and Gary Gillespie are alongside me, two men who've seen many ups and downs on the football pitch over the years. We will hear from them in a moment. We also have Ray Houghton and Mark Benstead pitch side for us in London. Guys.
Yeah, afternoon, Becky. Ray is with me in London today. I'm sure all of you have seen that viral online clip of Ray's former Ireland teammate Mick McCarthy when he was a manager going through a difficult spell. He's in a press conference, he gets asked, "Look, Mick, it can't go on like this, can it?" And he goes, "It can. Well, for Liverpool, it can't." Liverpool have to turn a corner today. 9 defeats in the last 12. We'll bring you news of the team charged with reversing that run of form very shortly.
Thank you very much indeed to the guys down in London. A warm welcome to both of you. We'll get straight to it, Sammy. There's no denying Liverpool are in a very tricky situation at the moment, but each game that comes along is an opportunity to put things right, and that is exactly how we must see this afternoon.
Of course, Beck, and we say all the time, you know, things just been mentioned on camera there, 9 out of 12 we've lost, which is not great news, obviously. But we always have a say at Liverpool Football Club. You know, in football, people say you're only as good as your last game. At LFC, it's always, you're only as good as your next game. And as you so rightly say, yeah, it's a disappointing period we're going through, but we've now got an opportunity to put it right. We're against difficult opposition. We've won in the last 3 games, so it's not going to be easy, as we keep on saying. No game is, but we have got that opportunity, and it's always about the next game. I'm hoping that we can turn it around. You know, I wasn't too sure where to start smiling today. I wasn't sure about it, you know, but you know, because it is a difficult time. But listen, we've got to be positive, and as I said, we've got to think it's about the next game, which is this afternoon.
Yeah, as Sammy says, it is about the here and now, isn't it, Gary? There's no point looking too far ahead at maybe turning the corner, because we've had a couple of false dawns in recent weeks, haven't we? And it needs to be consistency, but also baby steps, and next game is the biggest game of the season.
Well, you're always striving for consistency. It's the most consistent team that always wins the Premier League, and like Liverpool were that last season, and that's something they've got to remember and kind of draw on, like the experiences they had last season. I mean, this squad is like, it's well rehearsed in like knowing how to go about winning football matches. It hasn't been so in the last well, half a dozen games or so, but in saying that, they still have the capability. I mean, like you go into the West Ham, like you look at the stats against West Ham, the record is fantastic against West Ham, but that also brings a little bit extra pressure on you, expected like obviously to get a result. And when you look at the fixtures coming up, Liverpool like fans and like media will be looking at that thinking, well, this is a great opportunity for Liverpool to get themselves back on a consistent level and push themselves up the league. But in saying that, it's what happens on the pitch that like really counts, and it's down to the players themselves and the coach, obviously, to get the best out of them.
And I'll be honest with you, Beck, I have to say, we get the stats pack, I burnt them. Because for me, as I said, what's gone on has gone on. It's about, as you the here and now. It's about this game. We can talk about whichever. It's about just getting a win from this game today.
We're going to get the team news very shortly. Before we do that, just let's have a look at some quotes from the skipper, Virgil van Dijk, on social media this weekend. He's just emphasising just how determined the squad is to get through this moment. He says, "We're facing one of the toughest moments of our journey, but we refuse to let this define us. We will rise from this. I believe in this team with everything I have. Nothing has ever been handed to us. We fought for everything. This moment is no different. We won't give in. We won't give up. Every challenge is an opportunity. We must grow together, lift each other up, and show the strength that lies within us. To the fans, keep supporting us. We all need each other more than ever." And that is the key, isn't it? The players, the coaching staff, and the supporters as well, Sammy. Everyone has to be together as one in this moment.
Very much so. It's easy to support a team when they're doing well, we're not doing well at this moment in time. Now we need to get behind each other. And I think the words that Virgil put out there, fantastic. It's a great rallying cry. You know, now we need to put that into actions now. You know, starting with today, I say, against this West Ham side. I love what I've heard. I just want to see it now.
OK, well, it is 75 minutes now until kick-off. That means the team news is out in East London. Let's go back there to catch up with Mark and Ray and find out who is in Arne Slot's starting 11. Guys.
Thank you, Becky. Yeah, with a difficult run of form, the manager's had to think long and hard about what to do today, who to change, how to set up. And he's actually made 4 alterations to his side from the one that lined up in that defeat against PSV Eindhoven in midweek. That includes a return for Joe Gomez to the side. He starts at right back this afternoon. The team in full then is as follows. Alisson Becker returns in goal. It's a back 4 of Joe Gomez, Ibu Konate, Virgil van Dijk and Milos Kerkez. In midfield, it looks like it'll be Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai. And then in front of that, however they want to be lined up, it's Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak. Isak has 5 goals and 1 assist versus West Ham in his career. So the big headline then is Joe Gomez comes in. His first Premier League start since the game with West Ham here last December. Isak returns up top and Florian Wirtz is back after injury as well. On the bench, it's Mamashvili, Endo, Salah, Chiesa, Jones, Ekitike, Robertson, Nioni and Ngamoa. Ray is with me down here pitch side again. And Ray, I guess the manager looks for solutions. He looks to try and arrest this run of form. What do you make of what he's done?
Yeah, I think he needed to make changes. I think that's obvious with the last 3 results that we've had. We've conceded 10 goals. I've been wondering why Joe Gomez hadn't been given the opportunity, and I think that one of the problems has been he obviously had a knee injury. I didn't know about this, and he's been having some injections for it, so hence why he's not been in the starting 11. But the manager needs a performance today, and we need to build from somewhere, so we need a platform to play from, and that must be a very strong defence. So I'd like to see the back 4 today, as it is, making sure they just stay in their positions. It's a game we need to win. We don't have to go and play brilliantly, but we need to try and get the 3 points from the game because of the run of results that we've been in, the form that we've been in, and they just change the mindset. So I can understand the changes that have been made. Just going to see where Florian Wirtz plays. Is he going to take up a position that Mo Salah would on the right-hand side? Can Dominic Szoboszlai play there? Maybe play with 2 sitters and Wirtz in the number 10 role. So there's a variety of areas that we can look at as the game develops. So the first 15 minutes will tell us much about that.
Joe Gomez, by his nature, not necessarily going to bomb forward willy-nilly. Does that maybe help us a little bit today? He can be a tad more conservative.
I think we need to be conservative anyway. I think we need to just hold them positions and defend. We start at 0-0, and even if it ends at 0-0, at least it's progress. We're really going in the right direction because, you know, to concede in the manner that we have the goals, you know, having watched the game on Wednesday, you know, these are basic mistakes that the players are making, and they'll know that. You know, everyone is telling them where they're going wrong, but the ones that need to know the most is the players themselves. They've got to understand what they're doing differently now to what they were doing last season, and there's got to be something that's not quite right. And once they understand that and they get to grips with that, then it'll start to change. New players come in hasn't helped because they don't know what Liverpool done last season. They weren't here. Liverpool played with a tempo. Liverpool last season were one of the best teams on the counter-attack because they got the ball forward quickly. We haven't got the players to do that. Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't here anymore, so he hasn't got that variety of passing that he had to get us from a deep position in an attacking position where we catch out the back line of the opposition, go with a ball over the top, and then we utilise the pace that we had in the team. We're not doing that. We're trying to play through teams, and they're getting back into defensive positions and making it much more difficult at the moment. Maybe things will change, but I think a nice, strong back 4 today would be very important.
I'll come back to those offensive challenges in a minute, but defensively, you know, our XG against isn't as bad as the amount of goals we've conceded, and that underlines the point about individual errors that you just alluded to. How on earth do you, as a manager, get rid of those individual errors? Because, as the manager said the other day, when we make a mistake, we are punished. It leads to a goal.
Well, it's easier said than done, because the players, they're the only ones that can change it. No one else can. All the supporters can't do it. They can see what's going on. You can have an opinion on it, but you can't change it. It's up to the players to understand where things are going wrong. Ronnie Moran, I remember back when I was playing at Liverpool, and the 2 boys in the studio, I'm sure they'll say exactly the same. When you had a problem, you'd ask Ronnie Moran, what would I do to try and change it? And his words were, and you used to say this all the time, work it out yourself. And I remember the first time he said to me, I'm thinking, don't quite get that. I thought he'd try and help me with the problem that I had. And then when I went home and I thought about it, I knew it made perfect sense, simply because He can tell me as many times as I want, but I'll still keep doing the same mistakes if I haven't thought that through myself. So that's where you have to think individually about your game, what I'm doing wrong, how can I improve it. And if you all do it, collectively you'll get better. And that's how football should work.
You mentioned we don't sort of play that long ball over the top at times. We don't have that explosive pace on the break. But at times, can we still vary things up and go a little bit longer to ask questions of the opposition and move them up the park a little bit?
We have got the pace on the break. We have. That's not a question. I'm not questioning that. What I'm questioning is we're not playing it early enough. So what we're doing is we're taking our time. We're trying to build it up through the back into midfield, back to the fullbacks. Whereas when Trent was playing, let me tell you, when the ball was getting played forward, we had runners. There was people making runs in behind because they knew they were going to get opportunities that way. At the moment, the forwards aren't thinking that way. They think they come towards the ball all the time. No one's looking in behind because they know the players aren't there with that ability and that range of passing to play it in. But I'd like to see more of it. I'd like to see our midfielders get turned on it and utilise the space that's in behind. Utilise the pace. Look, Isak's quick. He's really quick. He doesn't want the ball at his feet. He wants the ball in behind to run against the centre halves. And if we can do that often enough, we'll create chances that way.
Is that on him to tell his teammates to play that ball to him? Say, I want it over the top.
Yeah, he's a new player. You know, he's trying to integrate himself into the Liverpool system. And all of a sudden, you know, they've gone from a team last season with Liverpool, not the new players, but who were, you know, everyone was saying, lauding them how good they were. And now all of a sudden they've gone through a sticky patch and now everyone's saying, no, they're not very good. No, I don't accept that. The players are just underperforming, the confidence isn't quite there, but that can change. You know, one game can change your thought process, and if you get things right and all individuals come together as a collective, you can get results.
A lot of focus on the defensive issues, but we haven't scored enough goals either. But Liverpool have had more shots on goal in the Premier League than any other side so far this season. Yeah, so can that be something to encourage on that? Given that ratio, eventually it will turn.
Yeah, eventually you're going to get your fair share of goals, aren't you? You've got the quality there. You're still creating the chances. What we've got to do is make sure we take it. First goal. It's been proven this season. The first goal is usually important. You know, in the last 10 games out of 12 we've conceded the first goal. That's far too much. You know, we have to get to the position where we're dictating the game from that point of view. Defensively we're nice and solid. We're not giving up any opportunities, and when we get our half chances or good chances, we're putting the ball in the back of the net, and then we can drive home our advantage.
Great stuff, Ray. Yeah, that is the breakdown of the Liverpool side of today's game here at the London Stadium. Details on West Ham very shortly.
Thank you both very much indeed. Apologies as well for a little bit of signal break-up down at the London Stadium. We will be back there in a little bit, as Mark says, to get the West Ham team. But first, the thoughts of you guys on that starting 11, because it's a day, Sammy, for big decisions from the boss, and there's some big changes, you might say, in there.
Well, there is, and there's the obvious one. But people have been saying that changes need to be made, and we'll see whether it's going to benefit them today. You know, as I say, it's a big call, but that's why the manager's in there to make these calls. A lot of people have had discussions on who should be starting, who shouldn't be starting. You know, even at the left back. You know what I mean? I know you don't want to talk about individuals, but for me, it'd be a game for Robbo today. You know what I mean? A away game. It's the West Ham, you know, gone through 3 good games, and obviously he's left Mo Salah out. And you know, again, them discussions have been going around in all the restaurants, all the pubs, whatever. You know, but at the end of the day, it's a big call. It's on the manager, and as I say, hopefully it'll prove dividends today.
Well, I think he's looking to obviously change like the way that we've been playing, and obviously the results as well. So it's going to take some big calls to maybe do that. It's a big call regardless, like dropping Mohamed Salah, but when he's the most prolific goal scorer against West Ham with 13 goals. I was going to
say he's got a very good record
with 13 goals out in his last 18 appearances. It's an even bigger call. But such is the need at this moment in time that like maybe drastic change is maybe needed. I think everybody really has been screaming for Joe Gomez to come into the side, whether it be at right full back or whether it be at like centre back in place of maybe Konate, who's having a rough time of it at this moment in time. But it's a team that's more than capable of getting a result. It'll be interesting to see where Wirtz plays. I personally think he'll play on the right hand side where Mohamed Salah was. And we'll see if we can get the best out of him in that sort of position, and it helps the team.
Yeah,
because that's what. Sorry, Becky. That's ultimately what it's all about. It's all about getting like individuals to play to get the best out of the collective.
And that's why we said about throwing the stats out the window, Beck, because as you say, Mo Salah the most prolific against West Ham. them kind of stats have to go out the window, and it looks as if the manager's done that now because changes did need to be made. He's been bold in his changes, and I'm hoping that it'll prove dividends, as I said before.
Maybe he's thinking as well, we're going to lose Mohamed Salah anyway, aren't we, for like
the African competitions.
So maybe that's in his thinking as well.
Let's speak about the defence with Joe Gomez. Gary said there, obviously, he's had to be patient, Sammy, to get a start. He gets his opportunity this afternoon. I mean, what he undoubtedly brings is a wealth of experience, and in a game like this, invaluable.
Very much so, and I think my thoughts on defending, Beck, like clean sheets. It's been well documented. Even Razor mentioned it before. What he did mention, what I thought was interesting, that Gomez seems to have had a bit of a knee injury, yet he's been on the bench. So hopefully he's cleared of that now. And I think, for me at this point in time, it's about going back to basics, putting the best players in the best positions possible, not square pegs and round holes. So I'm just hoping to obviously bring Gomez in today. He's a defender. He'll have defensive aspect to his game, which, as I say, if we can keep a clean sheet, we'll score goals. We'll score goals with the attacking prowess we've got. Hopefully we'll score goals. But as Razor mentioned there before, we've conceded first in the last however many games. We can't do that. We can't keep on doing that. We need to keep the clean sheet. And as Razor said, at least we start with the point.
Well, that's the foundation that everything's built on, really, isn't it, Gary? You go from there. If you get a clean sheet, as Sammy says, at the least you're coming away with is a draw. And at the moment, even though we want 3 points today, even a point would be a little bit of progress. Well,
it was interesting to listen. I listened to Arteta an interview about a month ago, and he was talking about what teams win the Premier Leagues, and up to the last maybe couple of years, it's been the team with the best defensive record that have won the Premier League. And I don't think there's any getting away from that. That if you are a solid base defensively, it's a foundation that you've got to work on, and with the talent that we have on our side, you would always expect us to be able to score a goal. But in saying that, if you're giving the opposition a 1-2-0 lead, then you're always going to be up against it.
And particularly at moments like this, Beck, when we're lacking in confidence. One thing for you, I think Ray said 10 out of the last 12 we conceded first. And I know your viewers hear me say this all the time, and I'll make no excuse for that, because now sadly, it's coming to fruition, the fact that we're conceding goals. But when you're conceding goals, when you're in this, you're lacking in confidence, then suddenly the heads go down. So it's vital that we don't concede that first goal, and hopefully we don't concede any goals. Because as Gary said, with the attacking prowess we've got, hopefully we can score goals. Yeah,
we've not won a single Premier League point this season from a losing position, so it just underlines, doesn't it, how important that first goal can be. Alexander Isak, obviously more game time for him today, Gary. We know what quality is in there with him. You can only surmise that the more game time he gets, the more that quality will come to the fore. Well,
I think first and foremost we have to say we're finding it difficult to integrate Isak into the side now. Whether that's down to him or whether that's down to the way that Liverpool have been playing, who really knows, to be quite honest. I mean, everybody was raving about Liverpool at the beginning of the season. Was signing all these quality players. Wirtz is a world-class player. He's going to make the difference. Sign Isak, well, the league's won and everything like that. It's obviously not panned out that way. So there's a reason for that. And I think the reason, obviously, is Isak, he missed pre-season.
That's the main thing.
And that's the biggest thing, I think. And it's been hard to integrate him into the side. And especially when you're coming into a side that is struggling a little bit with form-wise, it's always harder to establish yourself. But there is no doubt, when you look at all these players that I've mentioned, the quality and the ability and technical ability that they have is beyond approach, to be quite honest with you. But it's still, you've got to get the best out of it.
Got to produce.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us on to Florian Wirtz when you're talking about ability, because Gary said before he thinks he will start on the right. What are your thoughts, Sammy?
Well, I won't dispute that. What Gary says, it'll be interesting to see where he does play. He could play in that number 10 role, if you like, and do a bit of a roving role where it's difficult to be picked up. But one thing's for sure, again, as Gary said before, we know he's got talent. It's just about them producing now, Beck, to be honest with you. We understand the potential that they've all got, but today we need to produce it on the park. And again, I'm confident that we will. I'm looking forward to seeing this team. I'm looking forward to the fact that we've got to turn it around. We've got to be positive. We will be positive, and no more so than today. People calling for changes. He's made the changes. Now let's see the product.
OK, thank you both. We are going to grab a word with the boss now ahead of today's game. Arne Slot has been answering questions from the media about Liverpool's recent form. He says everyone at the club has got to stick together during what is a very challenging time.
doing what this club is about is keep fighting, and no matter how difficult it is, we have to fight together. But it would also be nice if we would reward ourselves in the moments we play well, because people are very focused and correctly about the parts we don't play well, but there are definitely large parts of the games where we do play well and where we do create a lot of chances, and we tend to forget to reward ourselves in those moments, and every small mistake or small error immediately leads to us conceding a goal, and that is a very bad cocktail to have.
How pressurised the situation is this then for you as a group, for you personally, and how inhibiting can that pressure be?
No, there's a lot of pressure if you work or play at a top club, and even more so if you start losing more games than this club or this players or this manager is used to. So then there's always pressure. But there was a lot of pressure last season as well for us to win the league, and now it's a different kind of pressure because we've lost so many games. But what it does to me, I can just do the same, but I don't have to play. So maybe my job is a little bit easier if it comes to this. Because I think it's hard for every player if you are in a bad run of results, if you go down immediately after 3 minutes and then you play a good first half, and then 10 minutes after half time again you concede. So we get knock after knock after knock, which is hard, but that's why I keep saying that especially when that happens, we have to keep fighting, and that's what we've done so well last season and what this club is about for so many years, and that's what we expect. The minimum what I and we expect is that we do this over 90 minutes, which is not always easy if you get knock after knock after knock.
Looking at the XG stats for the last 3 games, Liverpool's is 6.59 and your opponent's 5.39 combined. I just wondered what would you take from that?
Frustration. XG don't always tell you the right story, because I think it's also important when do you get those chances. So and after you concede, you tend to be more open than when you're 1 or 2-0 up. I think when we were 1-0 up against Real Madrid and 2-0 against Villa, we hardly conceded a chance, and that has happened in many more of our games when we were leading. But yeah, when you chase the game, you concede normally more. But I think a large part of this XG that we create is in the first part of the game as well. And that's why one of the players said today, and I just used that quote, we don't reward ourselves for good phases of the game or good parts of the game. And this is probably what is best shown in our XG created, because it's ridiculous, because normally you score more than your XG. The amount of times you see a team scoring 3 or 4 goals from from a low XG value, and then if you see our XG yesterday evening, but yeah, I didn't need XG to know that we missed a lot of chances.
Just wondering how you go about restoring damaged confidence, because I assume that's something else. You can't train that into them. But is there anything you can do to try and help them? Because it's obviously morale is so low on the pitch at times.
That last thing I think should be said extra at times, because I don't see it being low when we start the game. I didn't even saw it low after we conceded the 1-0 yesterday. But after the 3rd, the 4th or the 5th knock, then after the 3-1, I also saw a very difficult 5 to 10 minutes. But before that, even when we conceded the 2-1, again had a disappointment. We were able to generate enough chances, enough XG to make the 2-2. But after they scored the 3-1, I could indeed see that it hurt the players, and that wasn't the period where our fighting spirit was the best in the game, to say it mildly.
Yeah, Arne Slot looking for a big dose of fighting spirit from his Liverpool side this afternoon. It's hard, isn't it, to take the positives at the moment, but is there some validity in the argument that whilst performances, Sammy, have not been what we would want right now in this current moment, that Liverpool also haven't had the rub of the green as well? When he's talking about XG there, I mean, those stats are quite remarkable, really. Last 3 games, it's been higher than the opposition. You know, you do need luck sometimes, but sometimes you make your own
Make
luck
your
as
own
well.
luck, yeah. But I think it's a very valid point. But to me, as I said before, we're going to throw the stats out the window. But I thought it was great what the lads said, pitch side, is that overall, not XG, we've had more shots, you know, than any other team in the Premier League. Now, hopefully then, as you said, you frustrate them because you want more on target, you want more product from that, you want more end product from that, as in goals, you know. So you're right, as coach, you've got to take the positives, you know. And the only way you can do it, as you said, is all sticking together, get back to basics, keep working hard, and as you say, we keep on getting shots now. Working hard means, you know, working hard on our shooting, if you like. So, you know, rather than being saved or missing the target, if we're shooting more than other teams, let's make sure that it ends up in goals, or certainly making the keeper make saves. That's where you've got to take the positives from this. And again, I know him and his staff will be working tirelessly with the positive elements of it. But again, get back to basics, take the negative elements out of it, accentuate the positives, and again, with our shots, convert them more than we have been doing. And hopefully things will turn around. That's what I'm looking for anyway.
Yeah, there was quite a pertinent quote within that press conference where he's talking about fighting together, Gary. He said it would be nice if we reward ourselves in the moments we play well, because there are large parts when we do. Every small mistake or error leads to us conceding a goal at the moment. I mean, have you had times during your career when you felt not just, oh, it's not really going my way today, but gosh, we are really in a period now when this is just not going for us at any point?
Yeah, I think throughout the course of like any player's career, you're going to have moments like that. You know, at certain clubs, you have more moments like that. The big thing at Liverpool is like it doesn't happen that often. So when it does happen, it's emphasised a lot more than like maybe what it would be at like say a Coventry City or like a Crystal Palace or something like that. So you are more in the spotlight, and speculation is always there. Like there's something wrong. I mean, I look at the games that we've played. Like the one game you would say that we were outplayed was the Manchester City game. I thought like Manchester City were better than us. But other than that, I mean, there's no other team that really have outplayed us, and it's been individual errors at times that have cost us goals at important times as well. And you know, listen, it's about performing at your best, but there's a lot of luck involved as well. But you can't put it all down to luck. I mean, as I say, we've lost 9 games in 12 games, which it's not down to bad luck. It's down to like a lot of other things as well. But if we keep going with the mentality that we stick together, we fight together, we push together, then hopefully you turn the corner and you come out the other side. There's a stat like that I know Sammy was saying the stats like they're thrown out the window, but it's not since 2006, 2007 we've found ourselves in this position. But at the end of the season we finished 3rd in the Premier League and went on to play in the Champions League final. So there's still an awful lot of games to be played, there's still an awful lot of football to be played, and there's still a lot of like things to like play for. So I think if we look at it like that, and especially when you look at the league, so like it's so tight at this moment in time. I think if we win, you know, like I think we'll go up to 21 points, which takes us more or less certainly into the top 6. I think it is, possibly even into the top 4. So we're not a million miles behind. But in saying that, with the games that we've got coming up, I think it's vitally important that you get like a little string of results together and then see where we are just before Christmas when we've played everybody, and then like assess it from there. But there's no getting away from the fact that at this moment in time we are in the doom and gloom at this minute in time. But as I say, there's so many games to come that you can easily lift yourself out of that.
Yeah, putting a few wins together can take you quite a long way in the current state of the table, can't it? I mean, Gary kind of alluded to there about the Man City performance, but then there've been elements of even Forest that the first half hour, parts of the performance against PSV that there were positives to take. Let's just revisit, unfortunately we are going to do this to your PSV midweek, a night when, Sammy, so many individual mistakes that all lead to goals in the same game.
I can't explain that one. I really can't explain that one, as I said to you, and then obviously that's the start of it, which obviously puts everybody on a downer, and I just can't explain it. Again, to recover, to get back into the game, and then you think, now be solid, be tight at the back, and then this happens, you know, and that's just basic defending mistakes, you know, which can easily be put right.
Is it almost a domino effect, Gary, in terms of confidence when you see things like this happening and you feel like, again, as we spoke about, luck plays a part, and it's not your night.
Even that goal, when you look at that, like Konaté's made a mistake, hasn't he? He's been punished for it, but like the ball hits the post and it comes back straight to like a PSV player, and like obviously the finish, and then like we were chasing the game by this time, and I think that's what like the manager alluded to, the fact that you'll leave yourself open, and like you're always leaving like yourself suspect to like get hit and counter attack. But there was like, probably the Virgil van Dijk, I'm not sure what he's doing there. There was a slight push, but not enough to like do what he did. The second goal, I thought like Kirkis could have maybe just held his line and played the guy offside.
It's the wrong side, guys. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's the wrong side.
And I thought. But there was a mistake. Mohamed Salah didn't track like the wide player. So like there's all like a little bit of a domino kind of effect.
Yeah.
One player makes a mistake, like leads to another player making a mistake, leads to another error. And at this moment in time, like all these errors that we're making seem to be getting punished. And hopefully that will change. Hopefully we stop making the errors and we stop getting punished for them.
Yeah, to try and sort of cheer ourselves up a little bit, to tie in with the point you were saying, Sam, about shots and they're still creating chances. We've picked out some of the chances against PSV, of which there are a fair few, to be honest. And that is the positive, isn't it?
It is,
they
of
are
course.
still being created.
Of course, Beck, and that's what we have to grasp to, cling to, because at the end we're on this difficult period. But there are elements we keep on saying. We're creating chances, we're getting shots, and you've got to keep on doing the basics right, as we keep on saying. And hopefully this malaise will turn. But terrific shot, great save.
Yeah, we could be talking about. Well, we are talking about a difficult period, Gary, but we could be talking about a period of time where hardly any chances are being created on top of all that. And by the law of averages, if you're creating this many over the course of games, some of them are going to go in.
You would like to think so, but like at this moment in time, everything seems to be going. I mean, like I lost count of how many blocks that like PSV made on the night, and as I say, on another night, it could easily like been like a different story. And to score goals at important times as well is like a thing as well. And we've not been able to do that at this moment in time. But as I say, there's still an awful lot of games to be played, and hopefully we can climb ourselves back up to the top of the table.
There is a long way to go.
I don't think there's any doom and gloom from our point of view. I still believe in this squad of players. I think it's a better squad of players than what we've had in recent years. And I think they have to believe in themselves and hopefully try and get us out of this mess.
Hopefully turn it around this afternoon, right? We are about to leave those of you watching us on social media right now. If you do want to stay with us though on Matchday Live for the rest of our build-up, you can find details of how to sign up to become a subscriber to LFC TV or All Reds online right now, liverpoolfc.com/watch. And there's plenty more still to come before kick-off, including the thoughts of Andy Robertson on the way very shortly. Neil Mellor will be alongside Steve Hunter for audio commentary of all the action at 2:05. And then Neil will join myself and Sammy in the studio for reaction on the game after full time. Then that post-match show will also be available for you to listen to as an official LFC podcast later on. The full match replay, that is at midnight tonight, and then Neil and myself are back at 6 o'clock tomorrow with the Premier League review show for more detailed analysis of the key talking points from today's game.